Hey, crafty chicks, it's Grace here at the Comfy Nest with Grace. And today we're going to be painting some paper. So I bought this paper. It's cream colored paper that I bought for my junk journals, and I did not read the fine print. Has that happened to you before? I didn't read the fine print, and it would cost too much to return it because paper is heavy. So I'm going to keep it. I intended to have this cardstock, really thick cardstock, to run through my printer for the printables that I create or that I purchase for my junk journals, but I've tried a couple of times and it will not run through my printer. And then when I went back to the listing on Amazon to read the description, it says it will not run through most standard printers. So I just did not read the fine print. So now I have all this glorious cardstock and it's too plain. I want to give it some excitement. I wanted to have something on here. So we're going to use some of my old Annie Sloan paint. I have a lot of it. In big containers from when I used to paint furniture. I'm going to use some of this, and I have some metallics here too. And we're just gonna do some painted papers. So come on over to the table and join me for some creative fun. Okay, so moving that paint aside, what I'm going to do is put down on the table, it's just a big calendar page from my calendar that I have hanging on my wall. When the months go by, I save the pages to use as a backdrop for projects just like this. It works out perfectly. And with my junk journal, Love and Heart, I try to use up things rather than throw them out. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, here's that cardstock, that ultra thick cardstock, which I love the thickness of it. I love how smooth it is. Did not run through my printer. So we are going to find another way to use it. So we are going to paint to give these pages a backdrop. I have some really, really old paint jars here from back when I used to paint furniture. And look, I can't even get that paint to come out of there. And we had a clog. I immediately tried to get the paint out of there and run into a roadblock, of course. So this is actually quite interesting. You're going to see me take that top off of there and see how much of a clog there was in that nozzle. And true to my reduce, reuse, recycle self, my frugal self, I'm going to use what's there in that cap. We're going to use it on our pages. It's a beautiful color called Arles, A-R-L-E-S, from Annie Sloan Chalk Paint. I love the color, and I'm glad I have some of it left. There is actually quite a bit in the bottle left that's in great shape. It's just that the nozzle got all clogged up, as you'll see. So let's get that spread out. I'm doing a voiceover here, so what's going to happen is you're going to hear a little bit of me, and then there'll be some times when I stop talking and you can just watch me spread the paint, but I'll interject in between to add some tips or things or make note of some things that I want you to kind of take note of. Okay, here we go, busting into color number 2. This is a beautiful bluish violet color. I don't quite remember the name of it, but it is another Annie Sloan. And again, we had a clogged nozzle. So I'm going to use that little paint stick or stir stick. I think it's a coffee stir stick to get that color to come out and then spread it all out. I'm using a brayer today, that rounded barreled tool, which gives some really interesting spreads of paint. I really love playing with a brayer. I find it very, very relaxing. If you have not done this before and you're looking for something to do that's just super relaxing, painting papers with a brayer, that's it. Give it a whirl sometime. So I shook in front of you that white bottle that is Liquitex. It's a liquid medium, and it's a matte version of a liquid medium that you can add to your paints. I wanted to make note of that. If your paints are feeling very thin, you can of course add water, but the Liquitex acrylic medium, the liquid one and the gel, they're both made out of what acrylic paint is made out of, but with no color. So you basically can mix it with your acrylic paints and get them to spread more easily if they've gotten thick, or just to give them a little more longevity. If you're running low and you're finishing a project and you need a little more of that paint, you can add that medium, that art medium, to your paints. Now, it is an acrylic based product, but I've never had trouble adding it to chalk paints or into craft paints, as some are just noted on the bottle as craft paint. I've never had trouble adding that to anything. It's a matte version. I don't have a glossy, I have matte. So I usually buy matte paints or chalk paints, so it works out really well. Okay, so now I'm using this. I love this so much. I'm using both pearlized, and I'm going to end up using a little glitter paints. The pearly paints are from Martha Stewart. Her pearl paints are stunning. They really are stunning. And they add with a matte paint, like a chalk paint or an acrylic matte paint, and then you add a little bit of the pearlized paint or a metallic. It just adds such beauty to the pages and such visual interest. So that's what you're seeing me do there. The small bottles have either some shimmer or glitter or pearl or metallic sheen to them. And so you'll see as I hold the papers up and hold it in the light, you'll see those varieties of sheens come out in the paper. Now, keep in mind, oh, look at that clumpy mess. Keep in mind, as I'm doing this, that the painted papers, these are not complete. This isn't the finished paper that's going to go in my junk journal or in a project. Okay, I could make tags out of these. I can use these for so many things, to make postcards, to make greeting cards, as a backdrop for a canvas, a mixed media project, or a project that you want to put in a frame on the wall. You can use these papers for absolutely anything. I intend to use them in my junk journals to create note cards or tags or the actual pages in the signatures of the junk journals. So I love making papers that are just really pretty as opposed to plain white. I don't really love a blank slate in my journals, so this process of painting and marking up papers with paint and metallics and glitter, I feel like it just makes the pages so much more special in my junk journals. And I truly enjoy the process of painting the papers and marking them up, so it's a double benefit for me. All right, here we go with some clean slates here. 2 more cardstock pieces of paper. I have a brush. I have a mixed media tool that has almost like a comb-like texture to it that I'm going to be spreading the paints with. I'm going to introduce some new colors probably. I was thinking I wanted a pink, and then I changed my mind, went off camera and to my paint supplies and grabbed a different color. I don't know why. I just didn't feel like working with pink. So I grabbed some green and this really dark glitter paint that is amazing. And you can see this is a really interesting. It's Galaxy Glitter, and it comes with a clear liquid background. I don't know how else to say it. It's a liquid medium, a liquid clear, and then embedded into the liquid is this really dark metallic glitter, chunky glitter, and it's beautiful. I love for that to be the last layer on these painted pages. The metallics, the glitters, the pearls. I want it to be the last layer because I want you to be able to see it. So I tested it on this blank piece of paper. And then when I reminded myself, okay, how does that particular glitter, Galaxy Glitter work? Now that I know, I'm going to put it on top of these pieces of paper when I'm all done. So I went to get the brown paint because the glitter has so much brown in it. It has a little bit of purple, but it has a lot of brown in it. You'll see when I put it on as the top layer. You're going to get to see it. It's so beautiful. These are very neutral colors, I feel like, and they could go in so many different kinds of junk journals or art journal as a backdrop to what comes next. But always keep in mind that these are backgrounds. They are not meant to be the finished page. They're just meant to be a decorative background, a decorative paper that I can put into my junk journals. So I'm pointing out right there that when you're using the brayer and you first run through that bead of paint, if you don't continuously run through that bead of paint, the paint will leave a textured ripple effect on the paper. Reminds me a lot of the ocean floor, like when you're at the beach and if you can see through the water and the sand underneath sometimes looks like it has a ripple to it from the waves. This is what this texture reminds me of. And I really love the ocean, so I guess that's why I'm so fond of this particular texture. But to achieve it, put your bead of paint on the paper, roll your brayer, and then stop. Don't continue to roll through it over and over again. Stop when it's first run through. You're going to get those waves of paint, and then just leave it be, and it'll dry that way and leave a beautiful texture. Okay, there's that really dark glitter. I'm going to use a paintbrush to spread it. Now you can see the glitter is dark, but the liquid that it's carried in is a clear, it's a clear medium. So it leaves a really fantastic effect on these pages. It's so beautiful. And with the pearl green paint, oh good gravy, I swoon. It makes me so happy. You can run your brush or a sponge, or you can dab it on there. You can apply it however you want in any direction that you want to get the look that you want to your painted papers. That's the beauty of creating your own, is you get to make all the creative decisions, and it is really fun to explore and just try it out. So I hope that you will. I hope you are encouraged today, just kind of watching this process and literally how excited I get by it, that you'll take a chance to try it out sometime. And if you do, I would love to hear from you. Please tell me in the comments, do you do this on a regular basis? Have you ever tried it? Are you interested in trying it? Let's chat in the comments. I love to hear from you. And as this video recording is wrapping up, I just want to mention that I'd love to hear also from you about this shorter form of video where it is, I did speed it up a little bit. I'm doing a voiceover telling you what's going on, but it isn't taking an hour. It's like a less than 12-minute video. So I'd love to hear from you about this timing, if you like this length of video, and to say thank you for being here and hanging out with me today.